Hey guys, remember Bates Motel, Season 5, Episode 4, Hidden, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. As you guys know, I've really been enjoying the season. It's been quite different than the first four have been, but overall, I like they've changed things up. I like they're going in a very different direction, and this episode definitely, once again, another really great episode. I definitely really do love where the season is headed. We get introduced to a few more new characters here. We went in a slightly different story than I thought we were going to. Still no sign of Dylan and Emma, which was still kind of baffling to me. This is the final season. You kind of need to show Dylan and Emma. But as a whole, I definitely really did like where this episode went, especially the last, 5 minutes or so. Truly some intriguing stuff, and Bates Motel really just know how to do thriller stuff great. It is based off of an Alfred Hitchcock property overall, so they really do know how to handle that stuff. But let's just get into this episode because I really did love a lot of what was going on here. So we start off and we see Chick confirming that Caleb is in fact dead after Norma chased him with a gun in the middle of the road. She orders Norman and Chick to bury the body. So Norm wants to call the police because he feels it's just an accident. They didn't mean to kill Chick, but as we know, Mother had an intent on killing him. She was worried that Chick would Caleb would ruin them, so she doesn't feel she doesn't feel disingenuous at all that they should have killed him. And Chick reminds him that there are other things in the basement that could cause a lot of police questioning, such as Norma's body or all the taxidermy shit. I mean, this could really get them in deep shits. And Norma and Mother and Chick convince him to bury Caleb. Chick hands Norman the groceries, telling him to leave the chicken as he will make it for dinner. And then we see Romero. He's dealing with the teen who shot him. He promises not to say a word as long as he goes in, and he finds a first aid kit to help him as the teen goes inside. Romero then runs away through the field. And remember how I was worried last week that Romero would be stuck here for 3 episodes? Well, it doesn't seem that way. It seems like Romero is trying to get out of this as quickly and efficiently as possible. He's doing what he can to try to get to Norman, and I like that he is very much focusing on that goal. I like that there's really nothing keeping him from doing that. He's not really letting this get in his way, and I definitely like seeing that badass side of Romero, because, he should be going out for vengeance. I mean, hell, the kid framed him. He should be going out for that. So the following morning, Chick then dresses Caleb's body similar to the Pagan Viking death trip to Valhalla, and Chick is just killing it in these episodes. He really is getting to shine in a way he hasn't in the other seasons. He really is adding some nice humor to this final season, but he lights his body and boat on fire, floating across the water, and we then meet Sheriff Greene, who is basically going to be the one replacing Sheriff Romero, since obviously he's not a sheriff anymore. She gets a call from the DA. It was a bit jarring to see this new character here, but I like that we have a new sheriff. Obviously, we need one in the show because of what's going to end up happening with Marion and things like that, but I do like that we got her introduced here. You can definitely tell that she is definitely different than that of Romero, and I really do like her character so far. So Norman's packing up Norma's dresses as he bickers with his mother. He's angry that Caleb was killed instead of being freed because he really wanted him to be free. And this honestly was kind of a fun season, fun scene here where he's arguing with Mother, and Mother's telling him that he wants, she wanted to just kill him. He doesn't like having to bury bodies nor chain people in his basement or dump bodies into lakes. He just doesn't want to do it anymore. He wants to set people free. He doesn't want to have to keep killing all these people. So you can tell there's a part of Norman that really doesn't want to have to do that, but the Mother persona keeps coming out and he keeps killing. So as much as Norman wants to, we know that's not going to happen. He's going to keep killing because that's where the show needs to take him. We know that's going to happen. So he questions his friendship with Chick. She taunts him about throwing out all her clothes because she will just go online and order a bunch of new ones anyway, because dead or alive, she can't prance around the house naked. So she leaves Norman holding a box full of her old things as the doorbell rings, and he opens the door to the new sheriff. And we see the new sheriff here, Sheriff Greene. She asks him about Jim Blackwell, someone who has skipped out on his parole. Now, Jim Blackwell, as we know, that was the man who was set to kill Norman, that assassin that, Romero hired to kill Norman, and Norman's address was found at his place. Now, Norman denies knowing him, and she then tells him the only reason she's concerned is because he was recently released from the same prison that Romero was, and he then learns that Romero has escaped prison as well. So Norman shares his feelings with Romero, but the sheriff finds it awfully convenient and odd that a man who would be out of prison in 2 years would choose to escape, implying that there's something worth it out there, possibly in his house. So she really thinks there's more going on. And I really do like how smart the sheriff is. Like, she's not an idiot. She knows that there clearly is something going on. She's clearly worked on this stuff for a while, and she observes his contradiction about the stuff, but leaves telling him to call her if someone shows up, and he asks the same of her about Romero. So Norman knows that he's definitely, he definitely is on thin ice here. Like, if he said anything else, this really could have ended up badly for him. Like, if Mother did the talking, this probably would have put them in a very bad situation. You can tell that Greene is already onto him, and I like that Sheriff Greene already is proving to be a lot more, she's just a lot more astute and things like that than that of Romero. Not that Romero wasn't, but Romero always seemed to see the good in Norman, and Greene is not falling for it whatsoever. She's kind of just going along with it because, he's saying what, it's a lot of he said, she said right now. But you can tell that she definitely knows something's up with him. She knows that definitely something's up with Norman, and I like seeing that. It's just a very different change than that of Romero, and I like the way they're not trying to make Greene just another Romero, because that's not who she is at all. She's very different than him. Do I think Greene's going to get herself killed? Probably, but I'm interested in really seeing where that's going to go. I like her as a character, and I don't think she's going to fall for Norman's facade, very much longer. I think definitely that's going to break very soon. So Norman then drops his mother's stuff in the donation box outside a local church, and afterwards he sees Madeleine at the hardware store, and he offers her some of his dead mother's dresses, saying his mom was youthful, fun, and vibrant, and at first she's obviously a little bit thrown off because he literally is telling her to wear his mother's dresses, and she promises to go through them and will take really good care of them, and he observes a moment of Madeleine holding a customer's baby, and he laughs about it, and again, I like that relationship between these two, but this episode really does examine why that is such a bad thing and why these two can't possibly have a genuine relationship. So Norman then returns home. He finds Chick, who brought some of his things, asking if he can stay in Dylan's old room, and Norman then stops him, saying he feels Chick shouldn't spend so much time there with him and his mother, and Chick promises to help Norman out with everything, and his mother likes him, but Norman appreciates it, but says that they can't see each other every day, and Chick can't live there, so Chick angrily leaves as Norman stands there watching him go, and Chick's obviously not just upset because he can't look after Norman. It's also because, as we know, he's trying to get the most, accurate account he can of the Bates family, because he's writing a novel here, and this really stalls him from being able to write that novel, and you can really tell that, just that, really just that fire and, ferocity that Chick really does have here. I mean, he really did want to be able to write this novel, and obviously Norman's not letting him, so I kind of did feel bad for Chick there, but Romero then finds a small apartment complex to use a payphone, calling 911, saying his neighbor overdosed and is in apartment 221, and when the ambulance goes up to the apartment, he jumps into the rig, steals the medical equipment he needs to fix his shotgun wound, steals some money, so he's just doing at this point whatever he can to get out of there. He doesn't care if he's doing anything bad, he doesn't care if he's doing anything shady, he will do whatever he can to get by, and I really do like seeing this more daring side of Romero that we haven't seen up to this point. I definitely do like seeing that, but just as Norman closes the motel office, the sheriff returns to see him. She wanted to know if the motel keeps an old guest registry, asking if she can see it. She thinks maybe the Jim Blackwell checked in possibly under a false name, and she jokes a lot about police work is silly until you find what you're looking for, then it's not so silly, and again, you can tell she's on him. Like, you can definitely tell that she's waiting for him to say something, but he slips up mentioning that Blackwell lived in Canyon City, and the sheriff catches it. He attempts to cover, but she's suspicious and asks if he's seen an early 90s silver and black Lincoln, saying that was when he was driving, and gives him the plates in case he sees it. So again, she knows that he's up to no good. So he comes home, he's flustered about the sheriff's visit. He demands to know what is in the woods where she hid the car, and he says that they're going to the car to move it somewhere further from them, because obviously they need to make themselves look as less shady as possible, because already they're looking quite shady, and they need to do what they can to try to not make themselves look that shady. So we then see what ends up happening after this is she reveals that she removed the plate, scratched off the VN and the VNs, and covered it in brush. And when they find it, Norman says they need to move it. Norman and Mother says he's overreacting, and they argue because Norman feels that Mother is just sick of him, and Mother just wants him to get caught so she can run off with Romero. That's what he thinks is going on. Remember, he has the intuition that this is actually Norma, and that Norma is just faking her death, when in reality we know that's what's not going on at all, and that Norman's mind is just starting to get the best of him. So Norman begins to scream, saying that she is Norma Bates and she faked her suicide, but she wants out. And Norman then freaks out, strangles her again. He calls for her after he believes that he killed her. She comes right back from the dead. She wants to know why Norman is so annoyed with her and why he is so angry. So she tells him to never do that to him again. They walk home together, and he walks up to Madeleine, calling him from the hardware store. She thanks him for the dresses. They actually fit perfectly, and she loves them. She claims to feel his mother's vibe and great taste from them. So you really do get why he sees a lot of Norma in her. You know, she very much acts like Norma. She understands how Norma was, and just in general, it's really the only girl he's bonded with since Norma's passing that's, you know, very similar to Norma. It's really the only girl. So basically, she invites him over for dinner since her husband Sam is out of town again and agrees to see her out at 7. So you can already tell this is going to be quite a bad situation. You know, things are really not great for Norman. He's already kind of losing control of who he is, and this really isn't going to turn out well, but he heads over to visit Chick in his trailer inside the junkyard. Chick reveals he's writing a suspense novel, thinking the right hands, when it's completed, could make quite a good little movie. Now, I don't know if they're alluding to the fact that Chick's going to be basically writing Psycho, and that he's going to be the one to write that, but if that's where they're taking this, that's going to be interesting, because I honestly think Chick is going to live. I don't think he's going to die. I think he honestly is going to live to write this book, and I don't know if they're saying that he's going to end up pitching Psycho, but I kind of feel like that's where they're going to go here. I mean, the last episode of the show is called You Could Say I'm Psycho, and I genuinely do feel that Chicks might end up writing Psycho. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but remember, this takes place in a modern world, and who says that Psycho exists in this world? Maybe Psycho doesn't exist. Obviously, this is Norman Bates after all. Maybe he ends up writing the movie. Who knows? But Chick then asks Norman what he wants. He wants him to hotwire a car and get rid of it, and Chick then asks him what he did, but when Norman won't tell him, Chick tells him of a guy he knows, but he needs to know what he did. He says that Mother's out of control. She doesn't know what is best for everything, just like with Caleb, and he says there's something very, very wrong with her. He doesn't know how to rein her in, and Chick offers to help with her. So Norman tearfully thanks him for being a good friend and for helping him with everything, and it's a nice scene. I like the bond that these two do have, even though, again, as we know, Chick is kind of just going along with it at this point. So back at the Bates home, Norman comes down the stairs to his mother reading a book. He shares that he's going to Madeleine's for dinner, and he isn't interested whether she thinks it's a good idea or not. She says he's going to do what he's going to do, and she's going to do what she's going to do, and he makes her promise she will do nothing in regards to her, but she says that she will always do what is best for him and to protect him. So he says he needs no protection from her, that he's going to have dinner with Madeleine, and he's going to take care of the car, and she needs to accept that he's in charge of his own life now despite their arrangement. So again, you definitely get the sense this could not end up with Madeleine. You know, this is going to end up very badly with Madeleine. They set up this whole thing as something very, very tragic could happen here, and the way this next scene is done is absolute perfection. Because the last 4 or so minutes of this episode is perfect. It's everything you want from Norman Bates. It's everything that we expected him to be in Psycho, and it has a lot of parallels to that. So Norman arrives at Madeleine's home. She's wearing his mother's favorite dress. She offers to change, but she says that she looks wonderful and to keep it on. They share a really great dinner together, and everything's going great. He's asking about Sam. She learns that he's supposedly almost done his project in Seattle, but she hasn't had a chance to talk to him how she was feeling. Again, alluding to the fact that he is having this affair with Marion, and we know probably something's going to go down with that next week. So they talk about how to know what is real unless it is right in front of you and you're experiencing it. He encourages her to have that little talk with Sam, and out of the blue, she asks if he wants to make a cake, and together they can watch a movie and eat cake, and he says that he would love to. So in the darkness, you hear a dog barking. A woman then comes out with a baseball bat, discovers Romero. He asks this woman, Maggie, if he can come in. She helps him inside, and we don't know what that's going to be all about, if Maggie's going to be the one to get him to the motel, but we know, obviously, the motel is his destination, so we don't really know where that's going to go. Long story short, though, Madeleine ends up baking a cake while Norman watches her. She pushes him to help her. It's clear the tension is very high here, and the suspense in this scene is just so well done because you know something is going to happen. She says it's ready to go in the oven, but they end up beginning to make out, and of course, as we know, whenever Norman gets close to a girl, most times he ends up killing them, i.e., you know, Mrs. Watts or Bradley, even Emma. I mean, any girl, something bad ends up happening. We all remember the scene in season 3 with Bradley. Well, we get some something very similar to here, where Madeleine, he ends up picking up a knife, slashes Madeleine across the throat, dying on his floor. At this point, I was freaking out, because I really didn't want Madeleine to die. I love the character, but I was okay with her dying. I understood if she had to die, because it just made more sense. But we quickly realized that it actually didn't happen. It's just a vision. It's Norman's fear of what he thinks is going to happen. It doesn't actually happen. The date's going perfectly fine, and he's just standing there while she's making the cake. He didn't actually kill her. And it's that much more threatening and that much more terrifying that he has this vision of it. He races home, he runs into the house, calls out for his mother, demanding to talk to her, not knowing where she is, and that is the way the episode ends. Really great stuff overall, but let's just get into this episode and where we're going to go from here. So, wow, I mean, what a great episode overall. That really did start off as just a regular mundane episode, but there's a lot of stuff that happened here, especially with Norman. You can tell that he has this fear of what his mother's going to end up doing, because he knows what's ended up happening with the mother personality in the past. That the mother personality, it goes in a rampage, and it just ends up killing any girl that he gets close to, because Norman himself cannot get close to a girl because of the fucked up life he has. I mean, I've said it so many times that this relationship is doomed, and we already see that he has that fear. And I like that Madeleine's still alive. One, because I really am loving what the actress is doing in this role. I think definitely, whoever plays Madeleine, I can't think of her name right now, she's doing an incredible job here. She definitely is getting this character done Isabel McNally, she definitely is doing a great job as this character, but also because of the fact that Norman does have this fear, and at any point, this could go really badly for him, and at any point, Mother could end up killing her. But for some reason, Mother didn't. Mother actually listened to Norman. She didn't actually strike out and kill this girl. Now, we don't know why she didn't, but I think it was very surprising that Mother didn't end up killing her. So, who knows where that's gonna go. Madeleine's definitely in danger, and if I was Madeleine, I would run like hell, but I don't really know what's going to happen there, so we'll have to see. I love where the whole thing with Chick is going, with Norman now knowing that Chick wants to write this story. Like I said, I don't know if Chick's writing Psycho, but I kind of feel like that's what the show's alluding to, so we'll have to see what's going to happen there. I think that's going to be interesting. I love this new Sheriff Jane Greene. I think she is perfect for this show. She is very aware of what Norman's doing. You can definitely tell she knows what he's doing. She has a lot of evidence as to why he is guilty, and I don't think he's going to get away with what he did. I think definitely she's going to find out very quickly what went down with she's going to figure out very quickly what ended up going down with Jim Blackwell. She's going to realize that he's the one responsible for it, and it's not going to end well for Norman. But at the same time, he kind of put it upon himself. So I definitely think that that's not going to end well for him. I think that she's definitely going to find out what happened there. And I don't think, like I said, it's going to be a good situation for anyone involved. So we'll have to see the way that's going to go. And then as far as Romero, I don't know where Romero's going. I don't know if Maggie's going to end up helping him out, or if they're going to get out of there, or if he's going to get to the motel. He's going to get there eventually, but I like that it's not going to be till episode 7 or 8. I want to see that tension build for as quickly as possible, and as this episode shows, the show still handles suspense perfectly. I mean, that last scene with Madeleine is some of the most riveting stuff we've had this season. It's probably the most riveting scene we've had so far this season. I loved what they did in that scene. That constant fear that some bad was going to happen to her, but she ended up completely fine. I really do love. But it does look like next week we are finally going to meet Marion. We're finally going to see what's going on with her. We're finally going to see what the show has done with her. Please don't mess her up. I swear to God, please don't mess her up. I'm very worried about Rihanna. She really has not done anything that great. So I'm worried the show has made a mistake casting her, and I hope that's not the case. I really hope they don't mess her up. My one complaint with this episode, though, is, again, no Dylan or Emma. I don't understand this. I mean, if this was season 3 or season 4, sure, I can understand. But this is the last season. You kind of need to show those two for as long as you possibly can. I get they don't want to drag things out, but 2 episodes without Dylan or Emma is really pushing it at this point, and they really need to show them as much as they possibly can. So I hope we see them again next week. I don't know if we're going to. I really hope we do, because they are still main characters and they are still a big part of the story. So I hope we see them for the last 6 episodes of the show. It's crazy to think there's only 6 episodes left, but yeah, there's only 6 episodes of Bates Motel. I'm real loving the scene so far, but the lack of Dylan and Emma is starting to annoy me a bit. But overall, I really do love where this season is headed. I think it's very different. I think it's a lot dark. It's darker, definitely, and it's a little bit more satirical as well. There's a little bit more humor in there, I'm noticing, especially especially with Mother. Mother has a lot of dark humor, and they're crafting that quite well here. But overall, guys, I definitely really did love this episode. I am going to give Bates Motel Season 5, Episode 4, Hidden, a 4 out of 5 or a B+. So that's my review of this episode of Bates Motel. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Left your thoughts on it. Do you like where this season is headed? Do you like the lack of Dylan M? I mean, that definitely is starting to annoy me. Do you like the new sheriff? Things like that. But that's my review. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for, it'll be for The Flash, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.